We are live. Be Better, episode 15.
Yep.
Lucky number 15. Brought to you as always by Sub-Zero. It's a company on my shirt, my brother's company, SubZeroPlunge.com. Use code Be Better at checkout. $250 off your cold plunge tub. Comes with a tub. It's air inflatable. 2 small boxes show up. Tub in one and the chiller in the other. You can control the chiller from your phone. You can wake up, turn it down, turn it up, whatever you're feeling. My brother recommends starting off around the 40s, mid-40s, and then gradually, maybe weekly, bringing it down 1 degree till you're at that about 37-degree mark and aiming for 9 to 11 minutes a week. So if you're interested in cold plunge therapy, it's the newest craze. Tons and tons of benefits. Check out SubZeroPlunge.com. Use code BeBetter at checkout and support my brother because he supports this podcast. This week we want to get into Jacob went to a marriage conference probably 3-4 weeks ago, and we want to keep that kind of fresh in his mind. Last week we did a little bit more, I think, questions on me.
We did Dad Challenge last week.
Dad Challenge. And the week before, I think you were asking questions on me because it was like something like that. So we want to, while it's still fresh in Jacob's mind, we want to go over that marriage conference. I think we all, everybody has problems with their marriage, struggles. Maybe it's you not getting out of your own way. Maybe it's just your wife's fault. Like I like to say, it's probably your fault, neighbor. Just kidding. Maybe too much joking when you shouldn't be joking. You know, there's that. Like I used to do a lot of that. I joke when things are uncomfortable because I'm like, then it's kind of my way of deflecting.
Yeah.
Because I would make jokes to kind of deflect and let's get over it kind of stuff instead of tackling it head on. Lately, we've been better at tackling things head on with just my own progression in my own life. So I'm curious to see like maybe a couple things you've learned from there or just some general stories you learned from this marriage conference. I don't think it's, some people think like marriage conference, maybe you're like, oh boy, what you guys got some stuff going on, huh? It must suck you have to go there, but it's probably more of lessons, rules, similarities and a lot of things everybody agrees on. And then sometimes it's nice knowing you're not in the fight alone, right? That everybody else has these issues because I think we get into oh man, this has got to just be me.
Yeah.
No one else. I bet Jacob doesn't have these problems with his wife when I'm arguing with Amber. I bet Alicia and Jacob don't argue about this. I think we all get like that. And just having that, hey man, me too kind of feeling and camaraderie, if you will, helps just, I don't know, kind of ease the pain of some of the issues I think that come up in marriage. So I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah, I think first you kind of have to define what's the goal of marriage. And, I think there's going to be a lot of opinions on it. Just me with, my beliefs and my background, born and raised in Texas and went to a Baptist church. And as long as I can remember, I've been in church. Marriage has always been defined in such a way that it's about, 2 people kind of becoming one. I think most people would agree on that. And the whole theme around the conference, like you said, it wasn't like, oh, you're in trouble, so come to this conference. The idea is relationships of any kind need some sort of work. And like a lot of things in life, it's super easy to push that off. Super easy to push off things that you need to do because it's not a priority right now. Because if it's not, red alarm, red light in your life, then you're like, oh, I can do that later. I can do that later. I mean, Alicia and I have been married. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary this past December. And we have never been to a marriage conference in 10 years. We've never been to a marriage course. We've never read a book on marriage. I mean, think about that. You've done something for a decade and you've never even studied it.
Yeah.
It kind of seems ridiculous when you point it out like that, right? I mean, even if you get a job, you get some training.
Yeah.
And there's no marriage training. You just get married and you figure it out.
Yeah.
And like a lot of things, I don't think it has to be that way. So we've been saying we were going to go for a while. Last year we were supposed to go, but Jack's went in the hospital. And we weren't able to go that weekend, just the way it worked out. So this couple weekends ago, we went. And, the goal being oneness. The purpose of getting married is to take 2 people, combine them into one. You take your 2 lives, you combine them into one. And how do you go about that? And it doesn't mean that you can't be your own person. It doesn't mean you can't do your own thing. It doesn't mean that, you guys have to do every single thing together. It's just the point is, how do you eliminate things that divide you in your marriage? And how do you turn those things into things that bring you together? And like just a real simple, I think, example of that is just communication, right? It's super easy when you have kids and life gets busy to just kind of run your schedule and just do your thing. And we can get to the middle of the day and I'm like, hey, I got to go do this. And, Alicia would be like, well, wait a second, we're supposed to do this. And I'm like, well, you never told me that. So, well, you never told me that, right? I mean, we still have our own things to do, but we could have made it more about us together had we just communicated. It's literally that simple. And when you start changing your mind that way, if you look at most of the problems that people have, it's because of this idea of you're continuing to try to do things separately when you're, even though you live in a house and you do everything together. It's kind of really ridiculous, like I said, if you think about doing anything other than kind of with that goal of oneness. And so that was a really good takeaway. I think a lot of it's in your attitude, and how you approach it. Like you said, a lot of stuff was, it's not just me. Other people have the same thing. And like for Alicia and I specifically, I don't think we have any like glaring, marriage issues. It's just really, honestly, I think for us, it comes down to communication.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Alicia's with the kids all the time. I'm working, I'm traveling. It's just so easy to not take that time to sit down and engage. And like you've talked about before on Let's Get Stupid, about how you and Amber kind of have like a day a week, even if it's an hour, where you guys kind of get together and just talk, right?
Yeah, I think it's been really important to us because, like you said, like you get busy, you don't communicate, you don't hang out. You look back, it's been 2 weeks since a date, and then it's 2 months, and then it's 4 months, and you're like, I'm not even dating my wife anymore. And that's a whole different other topic. So we started being able to do like we do like things on Wednesdays. So typically we go to our favorite little bar. We have like 3 drinks, an appetizer, and then we'll split a meal or something and then come home. That's kind of always our thing. Lately it's been like last Wednesday was build the play set. But it's what the whole point of it is. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We typically have a routine, but it doesn't matter if that changes or not. It's that we get that hour, we get that 90 minutes, give or take, together. And Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. To have a successful marriage, you need to have that 90 minutes a week of just one-on-one time with your wife. Whether it's 20 minutes a day or 90 minutes at once, like we get it, you need to have that time to be like, oh, I didn't tell you this. Oh, by the way, we're doing this weekend. Oh, by the way, like, because that communication is super important. And for us, we have, I have a lot of irons in the fire. She's getting more busy as well as we get the kids older. We're able to do more stuff. And so she's starting to get really busy. And our big thing is we just forget to talk about stuff, because I've said this before, and when I've done a couple of these solo, was I think she knows everything that's going on in my head because we've been together for 8-9 years. But she doesn't know that I planned something while I was at work and then I forgot to tell her when I come home. So that helps us, gives that not like a reset, but just keeps us chugging along in this marriage. And our relationship has never been stronger since we've started making the conscious effort to every Wednesday, even if it's just outside building the playground, we have 60 to 90 minutes together every week after week, unless a storm comes in. And she's very, very understanding of my work schedule. But yeah, that time together is just, if you don't get it, you miss things. I used to even send her emails in the mornings, like she was like my secretary, and like 5 to 6 work out with Jacob. Then we did a 20-minute podcast. Then I'm going to go to work, and then I'm going to get off work at 6:30, and then I'm going to train with Jacob from 7:30 to 9, and then I'm going to prep my meals and prep the coffee. Then at 10 o'clock it's bedtime. Like, I'd send her emails every single day because I kept forgetting to tell her stuff, and we were so busy we didn't have that time. So now we've made that time, which helps a lot.
Well, and you got to remember that actions always follow intentions or lack thereof. Lack of an action is still an action, right?
Right.
So communication at the end of the day isn't about you. If you're failing to communicate, then you're making it about you, which is the opposite of marriage.
Yeah. Because
clearly you don't have to communicate with yourself. You know what you would like to do today. You know what you have to get done today. And if you have free time, you know how you would like to spend it. That's not the point. The point is, it's not about you. It's about sharing the communication with your spouse. It's about telling them, here's what's going on, because in you're sharing information about you that's important, which they appreciate, and then you give them a chance to weigh in on it so you can decide together what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Hey, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have a choice. I do have, an hour here. Do you want me to go get the kids so you can stay home and get something done and just have a few minutes? Mm-hmm. Do you want to go get them and I can go build the play set? Like, the point is that when you communicate, you're expressing the intention of, I want to figure this out with you. And maybe there's nothing you can do about your schedule that day. It's very possible. But it doesn't change the fact that you signal to that person, hey, I'm thinking about you. And I'm not just thinking about me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's to me the most important thing about marriage is that, you always talk about like teamwork and bringing that about together. But if you're not communicating, then you for sure can't be doing it together. You're just doing whatever it is you do by yourself, and your spouse is doing what they do by themselves. And there's days like that. I'm just saying that the goal is, the intention behind it is that you're thinking about the other person.
Yeah, and I can especially see that like in my own marriage. Like if Amber's like not slacking one day, maybe she's having an off day, or like yesterday she was like sick. Like she's like, I can't barely move. She's like, I'm so like every time I move I think I'm gonna puke. Now she's like 100% better today.
That's
like
how moms are.
Yeah,
crazy.
right. Just recover real fast. So I'm like, just sleep all day, dude. I took the girls to Julasco. We putzed around. We cleaned up the basement. We cleaned up the garage. Like we hung out. We did a little iPad time, and like knowing that she's like down for the count for the day is one thing. But even if you know someone being off, like that whole the gesture of, hey, let me do this. I'll take the girls. Like one thing is on Fridays I take Emery gymnastics. Usually I just take her and I chit chat with my mom friends. And then, go back home. I have like 2 mom friends I chit-chat with there because our daughters all do it together. But sometimes like, hey, let me take the twins. And then you get 2 hours to yourself. Yep. You can play on your phone. You can get ready for dinner. Can do whatever you want with no distractions for 2 hours. And she loves that because maybe she had a hard day with the kids or just in general had a tough day or anxiety or whatever it is. And then just like, hey, let me do this for you. And it doesn't bother me because I'll give them they have stuff to do with gymnastics, they can play, and just give her a little bit of that break, especially when you have kids, is huge because they might be on the go for 12 hours, and then I come home and I'm tired. Right. I came from work, I might be beat too, or maybe I'm not that beat that day. And we are a team, so let me see if you're struggling a little bit, let me take an extra load today because I'm good to go. Like I still got plenty of energy in the tank for these kids.
In either way, lack of communication is selfish. So Amber woke up yesterday, wasn't feeling very well. If she didn't communicate that to you and she's like, you know what, I'm just going to power through, I'm going to figure this out, I'm not going to say anything about it, I'm going to tough it up. Mm-hmm. Well, it won't be long until, there's going to be a couple of kids, over there fighting with each other about something or yelling about something. And you're thinking it's a normal day. Everything's fine. Yep. Amber's got this, no problem. You're trying to get some work done or whatever. And then it keeps happening. You're going to get frustrated because you're like, wait a second, why isn't Amber, normally she would take care of this. Why is she not taking care of this? And then you just start creating all these questions as opposed to Amber doing the unselfish thing, which is just saying, yo, Tom, I don't have it today. Yeah. Don't feel well. I ain't got it. Then you can mentally say, okay, then I need to step up today. And whatever you thought you might need to do that day, you say, you know what, it's not important right now. Yep. I need to do that. And I think a lot of communication in terms of like kind of that pre-planning, it helps change your expectations, which then puts you in a place to have like a happy and productive day. Because, disappointment is the land between expectation and reality, right? Mm-hmm. You can't align your expectations with reality if no one tells you what to align them with. This doesn't make sense. Yeah, and that all, like I said, it all goes back to communication. Then I can prepare that, okay, hey, I got to be 100% on dad mode today. I can't step away on the computer and do some stuff for Be Better. I can't do this, but I can get the necessities done, which I typically do in the mornings where anybody wakes up anyway. Get the necessities done, and then, hey, if I got time in the middle of the day, if the kids are chilling with Amber, I'll do this, this, and this. Her telling me, hey, this ain't a good day. Okay, cool. You go lay down, 100% dad mode. I'll find stuff to do with the kids. No biggie. But I need to, like you said, I need to know that. Yeah. I need to be able to put a different hat on for the next 10 hours and be a better dad. Just because yesterday sucked too because it was raining, so it's like find stuff to do inside. But be the better dad and be 100% present because I already know that my wife communicated to me that she doesn't feel good. So like, even just tell me like if you're out or in that day, okay, cool. You do you. I'll be all right. Yeah. I'll see you at bedtime. So. Yeah. It's unselfish. It's unselfish on her part. And again, the tendency is to think that it is selfish to speak about that or to say what's going on or how you feel. And it's like, no. It's actually very unselfish because, like I said, then you can start to align your expectations. And I know for me and Alicia specifically, because I have so many different things going on. I could between like obviously you and I both coach on Be Better, so that's kind of a constant daily thing. You kind of look at your schedule for days. Okay, here's an hour I can do that, or I can do it here, I can do it there. And if that gets messed up, that's a problem because your clients have workouts due tomorrow. That's not going to change. So if you don't get it done during that time, that means you're doing it at 9 or 10 or 11 at night when you wish you were asleep.
That's the worst.
It's the worst. It's the worst for you. It's the worst for your clients, to be honest, right? It's not good for either person. And so just by having that conversation, even if that is the case that you do have to do it that night, you're not frustrated about it because you can prepare for it. You had all day to think about it. And maybe at 8 o'clock you have a cup of coffee where you normally wouldn't because at 9, once I get the kids to bed, I'm going to have to go hop on the computer. It just makes everything flow better. And again, because it's not about you, it's about the other person. And in that communication is just that it's that daily act of showing your intentions and that's what you're about. You're about the team. You're about figuring it out together.
Yeah. What else did you learn at the conference besides, I mean, obviously communication could probably be talked about for an entire weekend.
Yeah.
But what else besides maybe over communicating?
I think the other thing that was really good that I took home personally was like just being a student of your spouse. They talked about how it's really easy. Again, it always comes back to life and how you take your spouse for granted, not intentionally. I don't think anyone wakes up in the morning and is like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I don't care if my wife's here or not or something like that. Like, it's not a conscious choice. It's just a function of when you do something every single day over and over and over and over, it becomes normal. Your body doesn't pay attention to normal things, right? You know, it's funny. You'll see like this stuff on Instagram, like, you know, pick a flower, smell it, you know, look at the sunset. And it's like, yeah, all that stuff is great, but it happens every single day. And it's hard to say that that thing that happens every single day is amazing because it's not amazing by definition of being normal. Amazing means abnormal. So when you look at your wife, it's easy to think this is normal and not really appreciate how amazing, you know, she is and what she does is. And vice versa, it works the other way too. So the point is like, take time to intentionally study your spouse. And, you know, what can you start to learn from that? Because if you can make that, again, it's that intentionality piece. If you can make that an intention, then the little bit of time you do have can be even better time together. Because now you're not guessing as much, you know, what does she want to eat? Where does she want to go? You know, what's going on? You know, I heard this quote, which I thought was a pretty good idea. They said, you know, this one husband was like, he goes to his wife and he's like, hey, if you could just like, I don't know, maybe in like next month or something like that, if we could have a date night, like, and we could go eat anywhere, like, what's 3 places you'd like to go? And the wife would be like, oh, I want to go here, here, here. And like the first place that she says, he's like, oh, we're going there tonight. Like, like he doesn't plan anything. He just kind of asks her what she would do in a month. And he's like, the first thing she says, okay, that's where she really wants to go. And we're going there right now. And it's like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. And so there's a lot of ways that you can study your spouse. And I think part of that too is it comes back to communication. Like if you don't know, ask. You know, some people are on this like, oh, you should just know. And it's like, things change too. Yeah. I mean, you and Amber have been together almost as long as Leisha and I have. And I think you guys are very different people probably than you were when you first met each other in terms of what you like to do and where you spend your time. And I mean, shoot, when I was in high school, I thought Taco Bell was like the coolest thing. Because, you know, grow up in Pittsburgh, we had McDonald's, we had Papa Nachos, and then in Mount Pleasant, the next town over, we had Taco Bell. So I was like, man, Taco Bell is amazing. I remember one time for my birthday, I ate at Taco Bell. I was so happy. Like that's all it took for me.
That's before you would drive to Roadhouse?
That's right. Before I would have to go to Roadhouse and 40 miles away. Taco Bell was closer. But like now at this point in my life, I don't mind the occasional steak quesadilla from Taco Bell. But the point is, that's not my choice on my birthday. That's not where I'm going. So, you know, things change and your interests change and what you care about changes and how you like to spend your time and money. All that changes. And you have to continuously kind of stay in tune with that and make it a priority to pay attention to that. Otherwise, again, like you're saying about the dates, you look up, it's been 2 or 3 years. You don't even know what your wife likes anymore. Yep. That's on you, bro. Like, it's on you. Yeah. You know, a lot of times people are pointing fingers, and, you know, the old saying is always 3 pointing back, you know, at least. Right. Unless you're a 6-fingered man, but. You know,
I got a cousin that's got 6 toes.
Yeah, see, it happens.
Lives in the South, believe that or not.
But no, you have to take that lead and take that responsibility, and that leadership. I think as a husband in your family, I think it's really important because everyone picks up on that, not just your spouse, but your kids. I mean, they learn how to be treated like your daughters, my daughters, from what you're doing with Amber and what I'm doing with Alicia.
Caught, not taught.
100%.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like kind of study your wife. The more. Not the more I learn about her, but like the more I can appreciate the things she does to me. Like, 'cause she's like a cooking machine. Like she's, you know, 2 to 3 meals a day. Sometimes always has dinner and my lunch ready the next day, nonstop, always. Even if she doesn't cook dinner, we go out. Let me make you something real quick. I'll pack it for dinner. It won't take me long to do it. It's like 9:30 at night. She's cooking in the kitchen, so I have lunch. And it's like I appreciate it. I don't look. What did you say before? You don't look past it or whatever. Take it for granted. I don't take it for granted. And then I really puts it in perspective, right? When you talk to other people about, you know, your wives, or sometimes we gripe about it at work a little bit, or I listen to the other guys talk. And I'm like, well, yeah. She's like, you know, what do you have for lunch? I'm like, oh, my wife made me this. I'm like, your wife cooks you food every day? I'm like, yeah, 90, 95% of the time, always have a lunch on me, always at work. You know, and then they'll go and be like, my wife hasn't cooked for me in 5 years, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, huh. Yeah, I guess maybe this is, to me, it's normal now. It's
Right.
happened for, you know, she's been cooking for me since we lived together 5-6 years ago, nonstop. So it's part of my daily routine is have her a thing in the microwave, or I'm sorry, in the fridge, ready to be microwaved at work, always. And you talk to other guys and like, yeah, I don't get that. Are you kidding me? Your wife does that? Yeah. Yours doesn't? No. Okay. And then they'll go on like these rants about complaining about their wives, and I'm like, okay, if you're annoyed because she doesn't do X, Y, and Z, and you're complaining and complaining, who chose her? You. You chose your wife. So why are you complaining about it? Because you look worse now. Because you made that decision to be with your wife, and then you're just going to sit there and, like, I can't stand people complaining about, like, to vent every once in a while, I'll get it, but to sit there and just, like, rag on your wife, I'm like, dude, get away from me. I'm like, you're the biggest idiot of them all. You chose her.
Well, and two, kind of we're saying about the problem, like, you know, a lot of the problems that you have, you're like, oh, wow, it's not just me. You know, we like to live in this world where we think we're all so unique and different. We're really not that different in some of the bigger things and like how we think and how we process and how we are in relationships. And so I doubt there's a lot of people in relationships, either side, husband or wife, who love to have a shitty marriage. I doubt there's many people like, yes, please sign me up for that. So this is something they talk about at the conference. Like, it's your responsibility to do the best you can to lead your relationship to the right place, not the other person. So if a guy's complaining about his wife publicly, like, I think that's, you know, maybe if it's a real big situation and it's like with somebody you really know, like that's a different thing. But like just like a general group of people, I think that's piss poor on their part.
100%.
Because you're supposed to have your wife's back at the end of the day, right? Doesn't matter what's going on, like especially publicly facing, like you have to. But the other thing of it is, well, like, why is she doing that? Did you ever tell her that you would really like a lunch every day? Are you not doing something at home that makes her feel like, well, you know what? If he's not doing that, then I'm not doing that. Like, there's a million reasons why maybe something's not happening the way they would like for it to happen. And most likely it's not because the other person's like, F you.
Right.
Like they just don't care in any way, shape, or form. Like, there's probably a solution to solve it. You just have to sit down and figure it out. And that's what frustrates me. And I think it just comes out of this complacency that we kind of lull ourselves into of, well, this is just how it is. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way it is. And I'm just going to complain about it. And I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over because it's easy. It's easy to do that. It's easy to be complacent. And you can't. You have to, like, get rid of that mediocre shit. You have to get rid of that and say, that's not going to be my mentality. Literally, we named our company after you're going to be better. Yeah. And that attitude change doesn't mean that you go into your house like, this is the way it's going to be. Listen that this doesn't mean that. It means to step back and think, okay, I'm not happy with the way the situation is. What's my culpability in that? What is my role in that? Mm-hmm. Why is it this way because of me? You start solving that, I don't think there's any relationship in the world that the other person isn't going to respond in a positive way. Yeah. Let's take it out of marriage. Let's just say, like, you and I as friends, if I was being a jerk, something like that, and you were just like, yo, Jake, like, man, like, just don't even come over this week. Like, I've got a lot going on. I could just tell something was weird. If I thought about it and I came back to you, I was like, yo, man, I'm really sorry. I have been acting like this. You would be like, oh, okay, yeah, like, let's figure this out. Like, you wouldn't be like, yeah, F you, man, never see you again. Like, it just doesn't work like that if you care at all about the other person. Right. So I think just taking that lead, taking that responsibility, even if you don't know how to fix it, just a willingness to fix it goes a long ways. Mm-hmm. It goes a really long ways.
Yeah, at least you're trying. You're trying to be better, right? Our whole our company. I think that's the big thing too, because when I got first married, I got stuck in the same thing. Like, of course I'm right. Like, you're just eventually you'll eventually step up and you'll learn the way of that I'm right. That's like in like, as silly as that sounds, that was like my mentality. Like, oh, she'll come around. Like, this is obviously right. I know this is right. And then, like, this whole year for me has been like questioned everything that I've ever done, basically, and not every decision, but like just the general way I react to things and basing things how I was raised and how to make those better. I'm like, oh, maybe I wasn't right. Maybe you were correct. And then now, like, maybe it's having daughters. I'm sure it has a big influence on me, especially having only daughters. And I have a house full of 5 women and 2 female dogs. Like, I just put them, I think, maybe just higher, like, on a pedestal probably because I'm surrounded by it, but I think like that's why like this whole transgender thing doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I think like women are such a precious thing we need to protect, and it's very hard to do what they do in the sense of having children, being a a great mother, a great friend, staying home if that's the role that they choose. Like that is such to be preserved, and there's so much knowledge that they have where like Amber knows things about me before I even do them. Like it's weird how much like how precious they are, and for someone to say I could just be that, like that really baffles my mind. So I'm like, I've always kind of put them a little bit higher on the pedestal, and the more I learn about things, the more I end up do agree with some stuff with my wife that she might say something that's off the wall to me, and I'm like, yeah, there is no way I'm taking your side on this. Get out of town. And then she'll explain it, and I'm like, okay, maybe that made a little bit more sense, because it could be. I don't have any specific examples on hand, but like some things I'm just like, there's no way. Like you're out of your mind. That's not how it works. And then you hear maybe the female side to it or her side of it when she was a kid or whatever. And you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. You know what? That makes a lot more sense, and I respect that. Instead of just being like my way or the highway, you're wrong. It's like, maybe let's step back. Maybe let's listen. And I think a lot of times too in marriage, as a sidebar, is I'm a big fixer. I like fixing things, right? I'm going to fix stuff at work. Like that's literally my job. I'm like the first guy that comes to actually fix the problem. That's my job. Yep. Like if there's a power issue, it's Tom's job to fix it. So stuff around the house, I like to fix it myself as much as I possibly can. My sister-in-law's struts went bad. Never did a strut before in a car. I'm like, I could fix this. So I'm a big fixer. So whenever I hear a problem, I'm like, let me fix it. And sometimes it's just vent. Like they just want to be heard, right? You want someone just to listen to you, get it off your chest. Okay, now I'm cool. I don't want you to fix this. I just want you to listen. So sometimes like I'll just be really blunt. And I'm like, hey, I know you have something going on. I know you want to talk to me about it. Do you want me to fix it or do you want me to listen? Because I got plenty of solutions, and I think I can fix this issue that we're going on with that is bothering you. But if you just want me to vent and figure it out yourself, some things, like I like to vent, to you or to my wife, whatever. And like I don't want the solution. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Just let me talk to you about it for 5 minutes. Let me bend your ear. Okay, cool. Like even after my meet, I didn't do so well. I'm like vented for like 5-10 minutes. And Amber, F this, F that. I did this wrong. Did this. Need to do this. Whew. All right, cool. I'm good. Yeah. Like, you don't need to fix this, Amber. Like not right now, especially.
Right.
But she's like, let me just listen. Keep pulling information out of me. So I think sometimes that too, we need to be very conscious of, is this a problem you need to fix, or is this a problem you just need to listen to?
Yeah, and it comes back to communication being unselfish, right? If you were being selfish in that situation, let's say Amber just want to talk about something, you want to fix it, but that's about you. It's not about her.
Right. That's the other point. That's about me. So I feel better.
Correct.
But it does not make her feel better. And that's very, very hard to learn. My first, we've been married for 5 years tomorrow. So my first 4 years and 9 months of marriage was very hard for me to learn, maybe 4.5. It was very hard for me to understand that. Like, I feel better now. We're going to fix this. Not about you, dude.
Nope.
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. And I just say this about roles. We do live in a society right now where this idea of you can be anything you want to be is taken to an extreme that, I think is hurtful for a lot of people. And it can be anything from, talking about transgender to talking about just your idea of success in life. Mm-hmm. A lot of younger adults are failing in the world at whatever it is that they're trying to do because they've been raised in their life of you can do whatever you want and there's no consequences. Mm-hmm. And I think anybody can try to do things, but Louis Simmons said it best, right? He was like, I was 5'2", kind of pudgy, somewhat decently strong kid from the sticks of Ohio. I'm not gonna play in the NBA. I'm not. Doesn't matter how much I want to play in the NBA. Doesn't matter how much I go shoot my jump shot all day. I can like the NBA, but I shouldn't be there. And I think when it comes to roles, like you said, you start to lose value when you say anybody can do that, because it's not true. Nobody can be. Let's put it this way: if you were to take it just to what we do on a daily basis, like coaching, no one can coach like Tom Kallas because nobody's you. Nobody squats like you squat. Right. Nobody's done what you've done in that. So you can't say, I'm going to coach like Tom Kallas. I can be Tom Kallas, because you haven't done it. You can't do it. That's not who you are. It's not what you do. When we started this company, I didn't say, hey, I want to coach powerlifting, and you're like, hey, I want to coach a bunch of rehab and sports performance, because it's not what you do. It's not what I do.
Right.
We said, hey, you have your role, I have my role, and even within how we handle things in the company, like emails, you handle most of it because of your work schedule. You're always able to kind of like, you get a notification, you're up all the time, you're working all these crazy hours, and for me with travel and stuff, it's hard for me to be the guy.
Yep.
Because I might be 12 hours away, 8 hours away, sleeping 8-10 hours off of your schedule, and then things get delayed. It just doesn't make sense. But there's some things that I'm good at doing, figuring out some of the art and social media stuff or whatever. The point being is like roles are okay. It's okay to have roles.
They're necessary.
That's how the world works.
Super necessary.
I mean, and there's value in it. I used to tell my old boss at the gym I used to run, he wanted everybody to be like me. And I came in there day one. I took over that gym. I started changing things. I started, firing people, hiring people, changing programs. He wanted everybody to have that mentality. I slept in the gym. We talked about this before. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, you don't want 12 people sleeping here. It's not good. We're all fight each other.
Yeah.
You need some people who come in, they do their job well, and they go home. You need those people. There's value in that. Mm-hmm. It's not one is better than the other. I was like, I need those people. This gym can't function without those people because I can't do those jobs. Roles are valuable. They're necessity. They're important. And I think, at the end of the day, not to get off too much on the subject, but I think it's up to us as parents to help our kids decide those roles. I think everyone else should just stay the hell out of it, in my opinion. Agree. But let your family and the people who really know you decide that. Whatever that may be, and whatever it is, within your family unit that you guys figure out is what you guys need to figure out.
Yeah, I agree. We're not going to get super specific on that and political, but we have our own values. And I think that, I surround myself with people with the same values. That's why we're buddies. And we've been tight ever since we bumped into each other. So I think with that, I think we should wrap it up. We need to train our legs, yep. Jacob. So if you're interested in a different style of training, interested in doing something different, interested in a challenge, the Dad Challenge is going on. This will be the last podcast I drop before it starts, and I will close registration. I will not put it back up until the next one. On BeBetterOfficial.com, under apparel, there's the Dad Challenge link. It's $199.99, and it is 8 weeks of training. You get training every single day for 8 weeks with me, through me, talk to me as much as you want, video review, video demonstration on all the training as well. And then at the end of it, based on before and after photos, you're going to get $200. You're going to get apparel package from Be Better Apparel and Kallas Barbell. And as well, my buddy Matt Hayden of Pioneer Fit, GeneralLeathercraft.com, is throwing in a stock Pioneer belt for the winner. You just tell him your size and he'll ship it out to you. So if it's something you're interested in, sign up now because, by the time you're hearing this is probably a couple days away from the closing of the Dad Challenge. So it's something that I like to do once a year, usually get dads fired up, get people back on track. And I think now it's a better time to do it before summer because I'm kind of in that mode where, my pool's getting open this week. The grass is getting cut again. Things are starting to feel like summer, and then all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I got a little bit of that winter weight, and he gotta shut off me from my past powerlifting meet. So I'm like, I want to get back in shape and push it again and do stuff different and do shit I don't want to do to get results I've never had. So if that's something that interests you, go to the website BeBetterOfficial.com and sign up now.
Yeah, and don't wait because if it's important enough to do, it's important enough to do now.
Bingo, love it. And always brought to you by SubZeroPlunge.com. Code BeBetter at checkout. $250 off your cold plunge, and which comes with obviously a inflatable tub and a chiller that can be run from your phone. That's all I got, buddy. Ready to go train some legs?
Let's do it.
Be better.